Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to my NRL round number 16 tips. We are moving through this season. We are almost for Origin Game 2. I'll be there next week. Really looking forward to that one. It all kicks off at Townsville on Friday night. Yes, no footy on Thursday night this week with the Cowboys and the Penrith Panthers.
To entertain house.
So let's speak about these sides. Now the Cowboys go into this one as underdogs. A few outs for the Cowboys. Let's speak about their lineup. So Zach Labert is in jersey number 3. Semi Valame and Kyle Felt on the wings. Chad Townsend in the halves. No changes there. So obviously Labert comes in for Valentine Home. Hylam Lukey comes in for Jeremiah Nanai off on Origin duties in a return kind of game. Sam McIntyre for the Cowboys comes onto the bench with Griffin Neame and Finu Fuaki, who I've liked what I've seen early on from him. And then on the reserves, you've got Brandon Elliott, Riley Price, Mitch Dunn. As for the Penrith Panthers, very new look team this week. Tyrone Peachy in the centres. Tom Jenkins on the wing with Salmon and Cogger in the half. I really liked the composure of Cogger in that game last week. He was in that number 7 jersey. A lot of pressure going into the game. A lot of people tip Penrith, and for a good reason. They were able to get the job done quite well against the Roosters. And Isaiah Yeo is replaced by Matt Eisenhuth. So Sonny Luke comes onto the bench. I love this. He needs to play 9. He is playing some very good footy when he is on the field. Spencer Leniu in 16. Massive game for Spencer last week. He was fired up. Now, who do I think can win this game? Well, last time these sides met, the Cowboys were able to get the win against, an understrength Penrith side. They are at home here as well, so it is tough, but for the most part, I like some of the Panthers lineup here. I like Dylan Edwards in the lineup. I like the experience of some of their forwards as well. Scotty Sorensen's having a great season. I see Penrith getting the chockies here. I think they can win it reasonably well. I like what I've seen from Jack Cogger as, a backup half. I'm going to go the Panthers by 12 here. I'm going to go the Panthers to win 28 points to 16. I think a few people will fall into a trap here and think the Cowboys are some value being at home. Remember, their footy has been very inconsistent. They will get some victories, but this is one game that I think they might just struggle. Penrith by 12. My first try scorer, I'm going to go the other back row, very consistent back rower this season, Zach Hosking to score the first try. I'm going to start picking anytime try scorers for you. I'm going to pick Semi Valame from the Cowboys to score a try, Penrith to win by 12. Next game sees the Newcastle Knights up against the struggling Sydney Roosters. Now, the Knights go into this one as, heavy favourites. They are $1.50 to the Roosters $2.50. Bit of a shock here, but the Knights at home, pretty good team for the most part. Let's run into their team. So Kalen Ponga at fullback. As for some changes, it doesn't look like there is too many. Dylan Lucas has been named to go up against Egan Butcher in the back row. Lachlan Fitzgibbon returns for the absence of Tyson Frizzell. Adam Elliott named at lock with Mann, Saifidi, Hetherington, Croker off the bench. As for the Roosters, Joey Manu finally is away from that 5'8" spot and he moves to fullback, a position where I believe he can be lethal. We talked about whether he should be at another club as a fullback previously. He's going to have a big game, Joey Manu. Billy Smith in the centres, Corey Allen in the centres, so no changes there. Sandon Smith has been named as the number 7 for the club this week. Interesting change, but I have liked what I've seen from him. So, this combination with Keary could be a good thing for the Roosters. Jake Turpin in the 9, pretty much unchanged there. Nafua White at lock, Hutchinson, Brown, Terrell May, Angus Crichton off the bench. Jackson Paulo on the reserves, Jack Johns on the reserves, Brody Jones on the reserves for the Newcastle Knights. The Roosters have a great record against the Knights. Look, even at Newcastle, they just seem to find a way to win against them. The Knights are playing good footy. The Knights are playing good footy. They almost beat the Brisbane Broncos, for God's sake. What a cracking game that was, and a cracking ending as well. Saturday was just a cracking day for rugby league. But I just feel like the Roosters getting Manu back at that position. Sandon Smith has looked good ever since his debut just a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to tip the Roosters here. I don't think many people will. I think this is one of those games where Trent Robinson will kind of have them secretly fired up for this one, that people won't expect this ambush. I don't think they're going to win big though. I'm going to go the Roosters by 4. I'm going to go the Roosters to win 22 points to 26. Yes, I think this will be high scoring. I don't trust the Roosters' defence. I've seen them leak some points this year. I'm going to go fucking nuts. I'm going to go Phoenix Crosland, first try scorer. Something tells me the number 9 from Newcastle is going to catch some forwards off guard. He's going to score first. Phoenix Crosland is my first try scorer. And anytime a Rooster for this one, I'm going to go with Egan Butcher. I think the Roosters can get the job done. Next up is a game that I will be at, and I am currently on a 2-0 record in this jersey, so you will not see me without this jersey unless we lose this week. But the Parramatta Eel, we're able to get it done over our rivals, the Bulldogs. Can we get it done against our rival, the Sea Eagles, on Saturday? This is going to be a big game. I really get the feeling that this is going to be the game of the round. The Parramatta Eel and the Sea Eagle. It is a massive rivalry game. We hate them. They hate us. And there's a few changes for our side. Now, Gutherson remains at fullback. Dylan Brown's still out. RC moves to the 7. Ryan Madison. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I predicted this team to be Russell, Gutherson, or the spine at least, RC, Hodgson with Hands on the bench. I wanted Hands to start, and I tell you what, Brad is listening to us, because Brendan Hands is starting once again, which is so good to see. Madison played some juniors in the halves. I trust him. Maddo, my boy, is back and he's ready. Brandon Hands in the 9, mentioned that. Opahigi Ogden coming in for the absence of Junior Paulo. I thought Brad would drop him, but I love this change. I think it's a fantastic change. I think he's been playing very, very good. And Brad, if you're watching this, good job. Andrew Davey in the 12. Still don't know how he's getting that, walk-in spot. I think Dury, there are players, in my opinion, that are playing a little bit better or a lot better than Andrew Davey at the moment. But let's see, up against his old club, if he can, fire up and produce a great game. Luca Moretti coming off a nice game as well. He finds himself in jersey 14. Joe Ofahengawi is back, and this is his first proper Eels debut because he didn't last 10 minutes against the Cowboys. Matt Dury, Makatoa, 18th man, Hayes Dunster. Wonga Blake mentioned in jersey 21, and Sean Lane a chance of jersey number 22 as well. As for the Sea Eagle, Kyu Wakes is the man to replace Tom Trbojevic at fullback. And former Parramatta Eel in the halves, we all knew it was coming, Jacob Arthur. Jacob Arthur in the 7 against his old club. This is going to be a big game. Their bench of Lawton, Allier, Bullymore, Condon. One thing we have to do in this game, and it sucks that I can't do the Talking Para podcast tonight, but I am going to a premiere of The Flash, a movie I've been looking forward to for years. But Ruben Garrick, man, Ruben Garrick against the Eel is always on form, and he is playing some great footy. I am scared. Garrick anytime at $2.75 is the best bet for this week. I reckon we can win. I reckon we can win. I reckon it will be tight. I do. I think it will go down to the wire. And again, I think we might struggle to score points. I just get the feeling we'll struggle to score points without Moses. 22-18. That's my score. 22-18. Parramatta are entering the top 8 this round. The Eels to win. 22 points to 18 over the Sea Eagle. First try scorer, I'm going to go with a Bailey Simonson to score the first try for this one. Eels fans, if you can, get down there and support the club on Saturday. Next up, we have the West Tigers. Now, it doesn't have the stadium, but I believe this game is played at Campbelltown, if I'm not mistaken. The Tigers at home at Campbelltown, up against the Storm, who produced a great victory at home over the Sharks. The Storm for years, they've just had this bounce back factor. And although I tipped them, well done. That margin as well, exposing the Cronulla Sharks that everyone seems to think are contenders. And I have disagreed for a long, long time. But for the Sharks fan, I do apologise if I'm being too rude to you. But sorry to say I told you so. Now, as for the Tigers and the Storm, a few changes for this one. Stefanu Utuikamanu is out on origin duty. So, Fanua Pole replaces Stefanu. John Bateman moves to lock in an interesting change, and Sean Blaw, a young gun, comes into the back row. The bench reads De Silva, Tommy Talau, Alex Twal, Alex Seyfarth. And as for the Storm, let's have a look at their changes. Marion Sebe has been named at centre with Olam on the reserve. George Jennings is the man to replace Xavier Coates, who is in the Queensland Maroons squad. Jonah Pezzett returns at the number 6. Bronson Garlick has been named in place of Harry Grant. So it's a nice looking team here for the Melbourne Storm. But the Tigers, they could be up to the challenge. Stafford Toa in the halves as well. So lots of changes for both of these sides. And the Storm have a pretty good record against the Tigers, especially, you know, big margins recently. But I think this game will be tight. I do. I think it'll be a 1-12 either way. I think all or most of these games will be 1-12. I'm going to go with the Storm by 8. I think the Tigers can score some points, more than they did last week. I'm going to go the Storm to win, 24 points to 16. I'm going to go George Jennings in his big return game to score the first try of the match. And at any time, I like a dummy and run from Stafford Toa in the number 6. So Stafford Toa anytime. Melbourne to win by 8. And the final game of the round sees the Cronulla Sharks up against the Bulldogs. Now, Nicho Hynes has been named in the 7 after missing Origin. A shock to a lot of people, this one. Their bench of McInnes, Graham, Williams, Hazelton. And as for the Bulldogs, Josh Adokar out on Origin duty. So Braden Burns returns. Now, Kyle Flanagan has been named on the reserves. He scored 4 tries and 30 points in first grade last week. Cracking game from him. Well done to that Bulldogs side. Absolutely smashing up in the New South Wales Cup. The Sharks at home, coming off a loss, coming off a bad loss. I'm just going to say it. As bad as the position the Bulldogs are in, the Sharks are, you know, one of those teams that can score points against the poorer sides. I can see them score a massive here. I can see them putting on a cricket score. I'm going to go the Sharks by 18. I'm not even going to give the Dogs a chance here. But then again, I didn't give Newcastle a chance last week. And look, they almost snatched victory. I'm going to go the Sharks, 28 points to 10. 3 try scorers for you. Will Kennedy, first try scorer. Look, Gutho scored a hat-trick against the Doggy. Will Kennedy is going to get at least 1. Wade Graham, anytime, coming off the bench. I just get the feeling Wade's due a try. And I'll go Paul Alamotti from the Bulldogs. But guys, those are my NRL tips for this week. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let me know your predictions below. I can't wait to get to this game on Saturday. I'm actually really excited to take on Manly. And yeah, subscribe to the channel. And I'll check out the merch link in the description. And I'll see you guys later.